So season 3 of The Flash just premiered with its first episode titled Flashpoint. So leading into this, at the end of season 2, you had Barry Allen finally defeating Zoom after he murders his father. You had him finally just getting so overstricken with grief that he does the one thing that he promised time and time again he is not going to do, and go back and change the initial event that caused everything that we've seen from season 1, the murder of his mother at the hands of Reverse Flash. Now, the Flashpoint comic series was a really cool series to me. I really liked it. It's a good little play on time travel. It's kind of a mystery because you don't understand why everything has changed, and this kind of is a reverse engineering of that comic. You understand what caused it, and it kind of takes you through the beats until he starts to lose his memories, where the comic series starts with him already lost his memories, not remembering who he was, that he was even the Flash, and you start to uncover why. Now, as far as the good, again, The Flash is one of the most enjoyable TV series you can watch on TV. Grant Gustin does really good at the Barry Allen and Flash duality as a character. He's enjoyable to watch. You endlessly like this guy. Even when he makes some really dumb decisions, you can't help but like him. I love all the side characters, from Joe to Cisco to Caitlin, and I really like the relationships that they show, like with Iris and Barry, and especially with Joe and Barry. Now, right out of the gate, I enjoyed this episode very much. I was glad to have the flashback. I really like how they started it off 3 months later, so Barry has been living in this alternate reality for a while. He's comfortable with it. He likes it, even though some certain relationships he has, like with his stepfather Joe and with the love of his life Iris, he kind of has to rebuild, or it might never be the way that he remembered it. He's glad to have his parents back. He's happy. I really like seeing alternate versions of characters, alternate versions of relationships. I like time travel and how all the little elements of that play into it. A show that I was a huge fan of, Fringe, dealt with a lot of that. Alternate realities, alternate dimensions, and I've liked when they've done that in The Flash so far, like with Earth 2 and now with this alternate timeline. I like seeing Barry Allen slowly start to kind of get the courage to ask Iris out again, even though he's got all these years of history with her. He's still nervous to talk to her. I like seeing him try to help out Joe. Joe's kind of an alcoholic in this, trying to get him to work really quick. It's interesting that he still has his powers in this, because the comics he didn't. I liked his interaction with Kid Flash. You know, Wally West is a character that I haven't been a huge fan of yet, but he's slowly starting to win me over. He used to be kind of a dick, and now he's getting a little bit more relatable, and I like their interaction. And you know, Kid Flash is kind of like this cocky, young superhero on the streets that doesn't really want to listen to anybody, and there's like this silent rivalry between him and Barry Allen. If they continue that on, I'm going to be a big fan of Wally West and his interaction with the Flash. I really like all the interaction with Barry Allen and the Reverse Flash, because this is a Reverse Flash we haven't really got to know yet. The first season was Harrison Wells' Reverse Flash, and now we have Eobard Thawne Reverse Flash. And even though their performances are similar, because they have to be the same character to a degree, I felt like this guy's performance was really good, and it's a different shade of Reverse Flash we haven't got yet. I really felt that brewing hatred between the both of them, like this lifelong, all-encompassing rivalry and hate for each other. I hope we get to see a lot more of Reverse Flash. I hope this isn't his only performance in this season, because I know I've read a lot about him going into something in the Legends of Tomorrow show, but I really like their back and forth. I hope that he shows up here and there to really screw with Barry Allen this season. Now, as far as the negatives, I've said numerous times that I hope they don't rush through the Flashpoint storyline. I think that they need to flesh it out for at least 3 or 4 episodes, because it's a storyline that you can get a lot of really good story and a lot of good relationships, a lot of stakes in, and unfortunately it looks like that they're only going to be focusing on Flashpoint for this first episode. And because they've kind of rushed through that, a lot of the things and a lot of the stakes that are really prevalent in that storyline kind of get rushed through. You know, the whole thing that really drives Barry Allen to stay in this timeline is how much he wants his parents back, and his motivation and how fast he decides to give up on that and let Reverse Flash murder his mother again. I didn't buy into it at all. He's so comfortable and he's so happy and he's so set in this new version of reality that they really just quickly made him change his mind, and the only thing that really made him do that was that Kid Flash or Wally West gets put into danger. And to me, we as an audience, and Barry has not known Wally West long enough for that to be that big of a stake that he would change and give up all of that. If it was Iris or Joe laying on the ground dead, that would be a little bit different. They should have done something like that if they were going to do this in one episode, but we don't know Wally West that well. We haven't seen him that much. He's only been in pieces of season 2. So honestly, us as an audience can't buy into Barry Allen caring that much about Wally West that he's going to now let both of his parents be dead in order to save his life. And not only did that whole thing seem rushed, but to me, there was a real missed opportunity for a good emotional scene there if you were going to keep it contained to one episode. We've seen Grant Gustin deliver some really emotional acting with the Flash in a couple of times when something really drastic and devastating has happened to him, And I didn't get that in this episode. You know, this should be the most devastating, agonizing thing that he's ever had to do. Walk up to your arch enemy and tell him, I want you to go back and murder my mother. That should have been agonizing from him, and I did not get that at all. It just kind of seemed like, okay, you win, you have to kill my mother. Another thing that I've criticized this show of a little bit, which I'm hoping they're going to kind of reel it in a little bit this season, is the over-reliance of speedsters as villains. You know, what makes the Flash and Barry Allen so special is that he's supposed to be this unique superhero and this unique metahuman with his speed, and so far the two main villains we've had in season 1, season 2 have been speedsters. We've had smaller villains that are speedsters. Now you got Kid Flash, and now you got this guy, the Rival, who I guess is going to become Dr. Alchemy. To me, it's going to get a little bit stale after a while if Barry Allen just constantly keeps fighting alternate versions of himself. And one thing that I won't fault this show for, but I was really hoping was going to be a reality with this whole Flashpoint thing, was kind of resetting the timeline for the other CW shows. You guys have watched me for a while. You know that I don't really like what they're doing with Arrow. I think that after season 2, that show has just steadily gone downhill. Wasn't a huge fan of Legends of Tomorrow. Didn't really care for the first season of Supergirl, the little bit that I watched of it. Maybe it'll be different now that they're in CW, but I feel like this was a really good opportunity to kind of reset the stage for all those shows and have it be like, you know, this storyline that really solidifies that all these shows are in the same universe. And to me, it's a real missed opportunity if it's just going to be one episode of The Flash and that's all the stakes we have for Flashpoint. I might sound like I'm being a little bit rough on this episode, guys, but to be honest, I did like this episode a lot. I enjoyed it start to finish. I thought it was a really good season opener. I'm glad to be back with The Flash. I think that the way that it ends, having Iris have this totally different relationship with at least Joe and Wally and possibly everybody else around him, is a good way to kind of have some stakes for the end of Flashpoint that will carry through this season. And it is hard to judge one episode when you don't understand its grand scheme. You know, this episode, when you look back on it after you know the whole entirety story of season 3, you might look back on it and say, okay, that's the perfect way to do it. They should have had it contained to one episode. But right now, judging it off of the one episode, I enjoyed it a lot, but I felt like a lot of things were rushed and a lot of things kind of missed their emotional resonance that they could have had. So what did you guys think of the premiere episode of The Flash titled Flashpoint? Did you read the comic? What did you think? Did you think it was a little bit rushed like I did, or did you enjoy it? Put your comments in the section below and we'll talk about it. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button. That way you get to come back and see me next time. But if that's not soon enough to check out some of my videos, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.